6 decades, Clarence Baker's Keyboard Lounge has been home to jazz greats from all over the world. A true industry pioneer, 91-year-old Clarence Baker is filled with personal memories and stories about those jazz performers who not only passed through the front door of Keyboard Lounge, but helped shape the landscape of America's music.
This place originally opened in May 1934. My dad and my mother they bought this place. They paid a lot of money for it. They paid $750 for it at that time, in 1934. A little tiny place over here, nothing like this. And they had food in the daytime. This was out in the country. Livernois 2-lane highway, cornfields in the back, nothing around here at all. But it was still traffic all along here. They did great in the daytime. And I was working downtown at a Manufacturers National Bank in the mortgage department.
Mm-hmm.
And they would work here all day, and they'd have to get here like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning for breakfast, you know, and then they were tired. So they said, son, you got to come out and run it at night, up to at least 11, 12 o'clock at night. So I came out at night. I was out here the first week. I don't think I had 3 customers the first week, and the second week I didn't have any either. It was the same way. I said, Dad, it's just not going to do anything this way. I said, I'm going to put some music in. He said, you're running it at night. I can do whatever you want. So I went out and bought a piano, upright piano, put it up against the wall, hired and I love jazz. I just loved it. And I got a local lady in town that played jazz on the piano. Didn't pay her very much. I think I paid her like $5 a night. But money was money. At that time, you could get a sandwich for like 35 cents or something. And she started playing, and we started getting a few people come in. They enjoyed it. They'd sit around. We didn't even have beer or wine or whiskey in here then. They'd sit around and have a cup of coffee or something, and maybe have a sandwich. But I started getting a few people anyway. I said, gee, this is great. There has never been a club in the world has had the array of big-time jazz musicians that this place had. New York was big, Mammoth had big musicians, but as New York is a city, they have a turnover every day, like 1.5 million people coming and going. They didn't change the acts. They would keep an act in there for 2 months, 3 months at the big club. We were changing every week here because we didn't have the draw like that out in the country out here especially. And so I changed all the time, but it was very successful. In fact, every show would be filled up with this show, and there'd be maybe 100, 150 people lined up outside to get in. For the next show, they could only stay one show for a while, so we could get the turnover. It was $5 a show, which was the greatest jazz music. It was a bargain for them. Some of those musicians, it was just, they were people. Like the first time George Benson, the guitarist, who's an old legend, he was a sideman. He came in here with somebody else. First time he was over here. Then he came in many times on his own. Like I even had Cab Calloway in here. Cab was a nice guy. He'd come in here and I'd say, Jesus, I'd like to play here with a group. I think it's the only time he ever cut. He always had big bands. I think it's the only time in his career he cut down to like a quintet and played here for 2 weeks. Nat King Cole. Everybody knows Nat King Cole. He's one of the biggest names of all time. He used to, whenever he was near Detroit, he'd come out here, and a lot of times he'd bring in nicely known singers with him. People, friends of his were appearing with him, touring with him. He'd sit over here and get up and play and do a whole show for an hour. He did that quite a number of times. Miles Davis used to come in. He was a guy that was, Nat King Cole was a wonderful guy, I gotta say that. Miles Davis, just the opposite. He'd walk in the front door, nod to you, walk into the other room, the entertainment room, sit down, stick out his horn, nod. He knew the guys on the stands, but he wouldn't go around shaking, hello, how are you? They wouldn't even ask him. He'd just get up on the stage and start blowing his horn. He did that quite often. This is a man, I'm not knocking him, though. But personality, he was. He didn't have personality. And he didn't try to sell it. He'd play as much with his back to the people as you would watching him. He didn't try to sell it at all. But play, listen to him. There's never been any better. Oh, Dizzy Gillespie. Dizzy was a different guy. He got it, when he first started coming here, he used to like to drink quite a bit. Then he started getting ahead of him, so Dizzy quit drinking. Now he didn't know what to do. He'd play cards. Had a dressing room in the back. Between every set, he'd play cards. The band had to play with him. He'd get somebody else in the band because he didn't want to come out here and drink and associate with the people or anything. Nice man, wonderful person, but he didn't want to. He stayed away from the booze. He whipped it that way. Gene Krupa, one of the greatest drummers of all time and one of the finest people in the entire world. He really was a man of honor, integrity. He was a great guy. I took him, I had a sailboat, and I took Gene Krupa out on the sailboat, and he enjoyed it so much that he went back to New York where he was living and bought a place on a home on Long Island and got a sailboat. Oscar Peterson. Oscar Peterson is a legend, one of the greatest legends in the jazz world. We were real good friends. We were personal friends. He was a wonderful friend. When he came in, we both had Jaguar Roadsters. He wouldn't bring his when he come here. He'd come in by train or plane, and he'd just take mine. I'd let him have it the whole time he was here. Then I had guys like Louis Armstrong. He'd gone to the other extreme. Louis was the same thing. He'd come in here. This man, I think, and I'm not alone in this, was the greatest jazz musician to ever set foot on anybody's stage. He not only was a marvelous instrumentalist, his personality, the way he did it, the way he talked, he was a master showman. I mean, this man was a master at everything he did. He was unbelievable. You watch him, he just gets you excited. He was one of a kind, that's for sure. There's never anybody ever close, and I don't think there ever will be, the man that Louis Armstrong was.
Thanks for visiting with us at Baker's Keyboard Lounge. Now back to you, Allan.
Recently, I got a chance to sit down and play with Dr. Billy Taylor.